Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video looking at the PBE test server, or at least one aspect of the test server. In my opinion, there are about 4 major areas that have changed in the test server from the main game that we know. I want to break this down in different videos just because it can get very complex, and I tried to do them all in one video, and I'm not going to lie, it was like a half-hour video of kind of rambling. I want to clean it up a bit for you guys. We're just going to look at one aspect today being the equipment, and I want to talk about that in this video, get feedback, actual constructive criticisms or what we like, we don't like, what could change, whatever it is. We're going to start there. And then again, we'll have PBE here for a while. So very quickly be putting out videos covering the different areas so we can kind of break them down and keep the different thoughts separate, because there is a lot with a lot of these different areas. So we're going to talk about equipment. I just want to say before we jump in, this is a test server. It's not live. It's going to be okay. A lot of people are freaking out. And it's a little overwhelming, at least for me. This, again, at the bottom left here, as you can see, the content of the PBE does not represent the final launch content. We have no indication or reason to believe this is exactly how it's going to look. If they were just going to implement this into the game, they would just do it. But they put it in a test server, which is good. They've asked for our communication and our feedback, which is good. Obviously, they have to take that, and we'll see what it looks like at the end. But I do think a lot of the chaotic, like, this sucks, this is horrible, isn't helpful. And it's not going to get the game in a better state. If you don't like something that you see or you've seen in PBE, what don't you like about it and why don't you like it? And is there a version of it that is like more of a compromise that's better? Because I think that's what we have to start doing a little bit. You guys are on the channel at all? You know, I just say things so they are, shoot people straight. I'm not going to sugarcoat something because, I want to make the devs happy. I'm going to be respectful with what I say as much as I can. But to me, this is the environment to test things and come to a conclusion that we all like. So please, for everyone's sake, for my sake, for your sake, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Let's break down one section of the PBE today. In the next video, we'll do the next one. We'll just take it one step at a time. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, what you like, what you don't like. But again, be a little bit constructive. Use those brain cells that I know you have. I know you got a couple, maybe more. And don't just comment and say, this sucks, this is stupid, I hate it. That doesn't help us at all. It's just don't do it. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and jump in the video. So looking at the gear, and again, I apologize. You can probably tell I sound a little off. I've got some allergy thing going on, whatever. So we're just dealing with it. So I apologize for that nonsense. But you look at the gear, the first thing you're going to see is that there is no refinement on gear in PBE, which is the first big red flag where you're like, where are my gold stars? Where is my refinement? And the effects that you're seeing on the gear are all different. So that's the first major thing. So instead of having refinement on certain effects on certain gear, every piece of gear has, for the most part, the same effects. You go through the list, a upkeep, power, overwhelming, agility, sharp blade, thick armor, flay, might, so on and so forth. That's a planetary war thing, and I could click on the blazing tongue. Power overwhelming, upkeep, agility, sharp blade, thick armor, yada yada. So they go on and on. Some pieces, like the Great Plate of the East, for example, have some abilities for evil men specifically that we'll talk about in a second. So some more thematic pieces that obviously look like they go for a certain race will have an additional effect for those. But instead of having items that have effects that you get and refine, there are just effects across the board. And to unlock or use those effects, you need to have all the items or some of the items that are equipped be of the same set. So, for example, I'll pull up the Witch King here because I have him equipped with the same set here. So on the Witch King, we have the Sharp Blade set. It says Sharp Blade 4 out of 4. If I had none of them, or 3 of them, would say 3 out of 4, whatever it is. So when you have 4 out of 4, you then get this effect here, which for this formation, which are the troops that are going to be on Witch King, they're going to have attack plus 20 during combat. Now, we'll do another video talking about formations and the change in stats, and there's less like percent increase and more. I think they've tried to simplify it, and I think in some ways it makes sense. And if explained properly, it'll make sense. But for the way we know it, it's very foreign right now. But again, this is kind of what would just be like an attack increase, like a melee might type thing that we would know before. So I run all those pieces in the Sharp Blade set, and I have that effect. There's no refining, there's no hunting for specific effects, there's no burning other pieces just to refine something up. You just get that and you strengthen it up, and then you can run a set with whatever effects you want to. Now, most sets are 4, but there are some that have 2, so you could run certain sets that have 2 and 2 if you run to run the might set and the safeguard set, for example. You could do that. And I'm sure as we experiment, we'll see what sets work well together or work well with certain commanders. Again, there's a lot to get into, but for the most part, effects have been replaced or changed to these effects that are activated by having a certain number of pieces in the set. It's also worth noting, if you didn't see it, there are, again, with there not being specific effects on gear anymore and everything being the same, there are just things that aren't here, like on the Palantir of Orthanc. There's no tactical mark, like pursuit effect on that gear or any gear, which again, I'll share my thoughts in a second on that, but everything is very uniform. And I think the attempt here is to just very much, like, almost extremely balance the entire gear system in the game. Something else different is the unique items, the R10 equipment. These can be equipped in addition to 4 other pieces of gear. So if you look over here, I'll go ahead and switch my camera around. As you can see here on Witch King, for example, there is a slot here, which I don't have his, but you could equip his unique gear. If I go to Gandalf White, I do have, as you see, I've got Glamdring over here with all of the gear he has. So the unique gear is just a complete bonus. It doesn't have a set that it plays into. For the most part, again, the stats look different. Instead of just having like army attack or percent increases or whatever, commander or army or whatever, the stats are different in terms of how they look, but they're pretty much just a bonus on top of everything else that you have. And that's pretty much it, without getting into like ridiculous nitty gritty of all the different things. There are sets or effects on blue gear as well. So you can use blue gear in, pretty much as many different sets as the other ones, which I think could make a lot of sense for free-to-play players. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. I guess we'll double check on greens. Greens have sets as well. So I don't know if that's better for free-to-play or not. I feel like that would be, but there are sets on every rarity of equipment. Now that you have a kind of simple overview of what this looks like in PBE, again, not in the game, not confirmed coming to the game, your gear is safe for now. And I think if we can talk and have a conversation and provide logical feedback, things will or will not happen. So that's what we're trying to start doing today. So to me, I want to break this down in pros and cons. So first of all, the pros of this as a whole is that it is a very, very balanced system. There's no more hunting effects on a specific type of gear to refine it. Everything is a bit more balanced, with the effects being the same on gear. And without going crazy through every single piece, it seems like the stats and increases are, maybe not as drastic as other ones. So I think there's just going to be overall more balance between all the gear, which I think is good for everyone across the board. I think the big concern is going to be for anybody who's spent money or just played it for any amount of time and you have refinement on your gear. For example, I've got almost a 3-star refined gigantic hammer. I do have one that's 3 stars with frenzy. So the con or the trade-off here is I don't think a lot of people are going to find the value in exchanging their gold stars for what this is. Now, I would assume that your refinement would just give you, if this did happen in this hypothetical scenario, I would just have more. And in fact, I actually think I think these are what these extra hammers are here. I have 3 gigantic hammers here, which with this one would be 3 refinements. So it does look like anything you would have had refinement for is just cranked out down here as a different one. So that I didn't notice that before, but basically your refinement is just refunded. You have all those pieces here, which instead of refining it, you would then just be looking for the right set piece that you want. So maybe I don't want Divide and Conquer on my Warborn battle plate that was previously Fortitude of Soldiers, but now I've got thick armor and want to use that, or I've got War Cry and I want to use that, and I can use that one with another War Cry set. So the exchange is basically effects that are refined for these sets of effects, and I think the value is going to be different. I think people are going to value their gold stars more, and so I think across the board players are going to not like this change. And I'm in that camp too, where I'm like, I don't know, I like my gold stars, but I do see the value as a pro of it being a very overall balanced system. Another con, I'll start in the cons and tell you my idea for it, but obviously the more you spend, if you have a lot of R10 items or a lot of Mithril, whales and spenders are going to have more unique items and have an advantage. I don't think it's going to, but there could be a pretty big gap there where every whaled player is running 17 unique items and they're all strengthened up and whatever. To me, a solution would just be to limit the amount of unique items you can use on your account. Maybe it's one per tier. So one tier 3, one tier 2, one tier 1, whatever it may be. Or maybe it's one of each type. So you can use one head, hand, armor, accessory, and that's it. So if I'm running Gorebag and Gandalf the White, I have to choose between them because they're both weapons. I don't know. Something like that, I think, could balance that. And I think it's an okay thing to kind of have it as a bonus. Unique should feel special. So having him as an extra slot would be kind of cool in my opinion. And even if the commander's unique is not that amazing, but you like the commander, you could probably still get some benefit from it. So those are some initial thoughts on the gear. Again, the big pro I think is just an overall like drastic balancing to the gear system. I think the big con is just the fact that people are not going to be okay with losing their gold. Just to put it simply, the value people have in their gear right now is not going to translate the same to this, even if it is more balanced. So how that will end up playing out, I don't know, but I do want to hear what you guys think about this, because I think this is one of the more like hot topic things with the gear and refinement changing, and instead of refinement having these sets. Is there a version of this that works for you as a player? Again, for me, just got Protection of Numenor with the right effect. Now I don't have the effect, and I'm like, I don't know if I pull at the time and add that to what we have. I don't know what the answer is, but I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. Seriously, let's have some conversations. No, just this sucks, I hate it, screw the devs comments. That doesn't help us. If you don't like it, which I'm very much on the fence and kind of on the side of like, I think this is too much. I think this is too drastic. Is there a version of it that does work? Because obviously they're interested in some form of this. So what can we present as a compromise of, hey, this is too much, but this we're okay with, whatever it may be. So let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. And as always, I'll see you in a future video. And keep an eye on the channel. Make sure you subscribe, because I'll be posting a video talking about all the aspects of PBE, not just looking at gear, but looking at commanders, the new commander formations, the new energy consumption system, all that stuff. They'll be in separate videos just so it's a little bit cleaner. So keep an eye on the channel for that stuff. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.